homeless, even if substance abuse wasn't part of what put them into homelessness, life on the streets is not pleasant. And within a week, statistics show becoming homeless, most people will try a substance to try to help deaden the pain of being on the street. And so within a few weeks, they'll be addicted. So you have to address what put them into homelessness or what's keeping them in homelessness in order to resolve it. And housing, four walls doesn't do that. You're just taking a homeless person, putting them inside so they remain culturally homeless, and you're not helping them.
So again, other people may say we don't have a homelessness problem, we have a drug problem, but from what you're saying, some people do end up on the street even before they're on drugs,
Yeah.
and then they develop the drug problem while they're on the street.
There are really so many reasons people become homeless. Drugs is certainly one of the reasons. Again, trauma, mental illness, economic downturns are others. But yes, once people are in the street, then it very much becomes a drug problem, especially with the scenes we have in our streets right now where cheap drugs are so plentiful and so full that it puts people into addiction very quickly, and it's very hard to recover from that.
Now, you mentioned HUD and some federal policies, but why is San Francisco so infamous?
There are several reasons. So San Francisco, the state of California and the city of San Francisco all very much embrace this housing first philosophy. And in conjunction with that, something called harm reduction, which is you reduce the harm of using drugs. In practice, it means giving out needles, giving out information on how to use drugs safely, instead of understanding that people are slaves to the drugs. So they think it's a civil right to choose to use drugs. The problem is if you're mentally ill or you're addicted, you're not making a choice any longer. And we really need to be providing people with the resources to escape that slavery and achieve their full potentials as human beings. And that takes recovery services, it takes workforce training, it takes life skills, it takes individualized nurturing care for the whole person.
Even at the Freedom Fest, there's debate over whether drugs should be legalized or made illegal. From your experiences making the documentary, what would you support?
Prohibition doesn't work. We know that from long experience. So I don't advocate prohibition. We need education. We need the kind of effective education campaign that made it, all of us who used to smoke cigarettes pariahs. So we had to give up, right? We think marijuana's gotten a reputation of being, oh, it's just marijuana, it's fine. It isn't fine. Today's marijuana is incredibly powerful, and young people have no business using it whatsoever. It's causing psychosis among the young, it's driving violence among the young, and certainly street-level drugs like fentanyl, which are very cheap and 40 times as powerful as heroin, are very dangerous. You can't get rid of them through making them illegal. However, you also don't have to have your public sidewalks become open-air drug markets, right? And turn over the commons that we're all supposed to be enjoying to drug dealers and their customers. So we have to maintain or return our streets to civil order and deal with drug use through education and treatment and helping people understand that it's not a good choice, and if you're addicted, there's a way to not become addicted.
Where are we failing on the education front?
Drugs have a cachet, and they're readily available, and people think that it's because marijuana is largely legal. A lot of places it's become assumed that marijuana is fine, it doesn't hurt you. That's not true. Fentanyl is widely available again, as are all the opioids, and we've had this problem with overdosing, over medicating people for every little thing. There have been some very effective private education efforts. Tom Siebel, who was a early Silicon Valley success story, did a very wonderful campaign on methadone years ago. Billboards and TV ads and internet ads showing young people who have been destroyed by methadone and essentially showing kids, this is what happens when you use methadone. We need more of that, where young people are seeing, hey, drugs aren't cool, They're not a great way to blot out the meaninglessness of life. They're not a good escape. They're going to destroy my life. Concurrent with that, we have to be letting kids know that there's purpose to life. And we've taken a lot of that away. We're telling kids, no, there's no purpose. You're fine just as you are. Don't worry about it. And they know they're
That is a lie.
confused and they're not quite sure what they want to do with their lives and they're not sure the life has meaning. And we're not nurturing that either.
Because I think if you look at the culture at the moment, particularly among young people, with drug use, etc., it's the opposite. It's almost celebrating drug use, encouraging drug use, encouraging overindulgence in these things. And I think the nihilism as well you described
Yes.
is so prevalent. Where do you begin to reach young people?
Well, I think families are a great way to start, and we have to nurture the family. We have a war on children in this country, frankly, right now. We're trying to destroy childhood. We have families that are in deep distress. The stories I was told by the people in the documentary of the childhoods they had, and I truly came away feeling there, but for the grace of God go I. If I'd grown up in these violent, dysfunctional, unwanted households, I would have turned out the same way. I was loved and wanted, and it makes a huge difference. So we do have to be providing more supportive programs. There are wonderful organizations that do that, good after-school programs, good parenting programs. Need to do more of that.
Can you tell me one of these stories that you learned, these broken childhoods?
Um, well, one young woman who grew up in East LA and very violent neighborhood, and she felt she had to protect her little brother, and so she just became a total tough, and was out in the streets fighting the other kids, protecting her brother, didn't have support from parents at home, and so on, and ended up having a very rough life. Another young woman grew up homeless herself and told me about as she grew up and left her mother and was living on her own, she'd sleep under parked cars because it's the safe place to be away from people and not get attacked. But you'd have to be very wary that somebody didn't come and start the car and drive off while you're under it. So just desperate lives of survival, near survival, things we wouldn't want a stray cat to experience. And we have hundreds of thousands of human beings living this way.
When you look at TV networks in America, a soundbite and fight-it-out culture prevails on news and commentary programs. As a Canadian, I'm fascinated with America, and I wanted to offer American thought leaders an opportunity to share their thoughts in a deep dive format where we can explore their ideas together. And so American Thought Leaders was born. The world's most brilliant thinkers believed that open discourse was the key to greatness. However, all around the world, we see that discourse is being stifled, and political agendas have subverted media. The Epoch Times launched its Global Thought Leaders program to bring back this great tradition of free thought. As the host of American Thought Leaders, every week I interview some of the most intriguing minds on the most pressing issues of our time. Be sure to check out our new episodes